successful.
Sweet. All right, Vimeo people, I hope you're on number 9 with JSullivan. So we're going to transition to that, and let's begin. 3, 2, 1, unpause. The last one and this one both have kind of long lead-ups. I'm not exactly sure why that is.
This one's not as long.
No.
I'm trying. Oh, this is the.
This is the parking garage.
The assassin.
Is it?
I think it's the assassin.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. The assassin.
Eddie knows what he's talking about.
For some reason, that
All the
logo.
smoke and
It looks a little bit like Assassin's Creed, the logo for that game. I do like the rack. I do like.
Hey, she doesn't show up till later.
Excuse me?
oh my!
Yeah, no, it's not the rack that gets featured in this scene.
I do like the rack focus coming into there with yeah.
This is kind of like what if Assassin's Creed took place in the modern day? That's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the guy worked for Geek Squad.
The guy worked for Geek Squad.
I like that everyone kind of dressed formally for this lightsaber fight. That was one of the things that kind of struck me is everyone's kind of she's in heels, you know. And it's a formal fight, and you don't see those as often. People are too casual in their fights.
I like dressing. You know, back in the day, these kids they don't dress up for their lightsaber fights.
Yeah.
I have to say, what were you thinking, making your poor fighter fight in a skirt?
Yeah,
like,
man.
that's just mean.
There's a
mean.
major fashion faux pas here in the very first sort of opening rounds of this fight. But yeah, I mean, I understand she's a very lovely looking young lady, but you don't have her in heels and a skirt in a parking garage where it's wet. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And you know, and pick. I'm just gonna say this once. Pick a more flattering camera angle for that moment. Just cut. You do her a favor. Just you know.
Apparently, he says in the chat room. Apparently, it was her choice.
No,
all right.
He bet it was her choice.
somebody
That's
said
it.
that.
Yeah. Look at what she's wearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as the choreography goes, first of all, there's not a lot of it, which as we've
And that's a bad
established is
sell.
not-
Like that
yeah.
punch was nowhere near his head.
Same thing we were talking about earlier, where she smacks and then just watches them, and it's like, well, again, why did you do that? Pursue.
There's a lot of that in this
Okay.
entry. If she's go ahead.
That I don't mean to interrupt, but that is bad saber tension. The saber tension of the green saber is on top. There is nothing stopping him. He has the clear track to slice her in half at that
Yeah,
moment.
even I can see that he could just swing left and take her head off.
When you do saber tension, guys, you really want to have it so that they're in directly opposing dynamic tension. You can't have tension pointing downwards with one saber on top because there's nothing stopping the guy from slicing him in half.
Now I like stuff like this, although it's waiting a little bit of a while, and I find it hard to believe he doesn't hear the lightsaber until.
That is a problem.
But
yeah, it's like he's over there.
You can't sneak up on someone with a lightsaber.
They're certainly trying a lot of interesting stuff. There's a lot of camera moving up and down. It's very dynamic what they're trying to do with the camera here. So I appreciate that.
There's some good filmmaking going on here.
Yeah.
And I think the acting is quite nice as well. And
But
probably the choreography is probably the weakest link of this in general.
In a movie called The Assassin that features an assassin trying to assassinate someone, I would like the fight choreography to reflect that.
Yeah,
As opposed to the pausing, the waiting, the stalking. This isn't the torturer or the mess with your head before I kill you. This is the assassin. So I want to see someone making an honest attempt to assassinate someone.
Yeah. There's a lot of, right there. She's just standing there going, oh, what's going on? And this one, we've gotten a lot of them in the past. There aren't as many in this competition. But this one has a problem that I don't like to see in choreography competitions, which is much of the time is spent with one person running from the other.
Yeah.
I prefer... Generally, I prefer to see them engage. And to be fair, again, earlier, Jeff Hibbert's thing had a lot of running from each other, but there was a good amount of engagement.
That worked for me in a way that this does not work.
Yeah.
That, by the way, I will admit, that is a very inventive gag about trying to forcibly remove the light from the saber.
Yeah, I've never seen that. That's
I've never
awesome.
seen that. That's I want to see that explored. I think that's a strong enough concept to where you could have a few gags with it, not just the one.
I'm not sure I like it, but it's a creative idea at least, definitely.
Yeah.
It's something I've never seen before, and that automatically is a lot
true.
of points. Because that's very hard to do in any subject matter in any film.
There's kind of
See right there, kill him. Just
Yeah,
right.
you have him down. You could kill him at that point.
This is one that I feel like they worked out the moves and they ran through them a couple of times, but they weren't really rehearsed at it, including the camera, which is kind of chasing them a little bit in a lot of the stuff, and not in a way that is supposed to be that way. I think it's just attempting to keep up. And yeah.
And again, blade tension there. She has her lightsaber up. She has him there. She's clearly trying to assassinate. Nothing is stopping her. Also, I think if you're close enough to force choke someone, or if you're force choking someone, you're close enough to choke them. Choke them. Don't force choke. Just use the force for something else.
Yeah.
Do your laundry
Earlier
list.
she
Yeah.
did like a forced tie his shoelaces together move.
She did a forced
that,
nub shot where she smacked him in the groin. That's cool. That's
Yeah.
There was also
Yeah.
there was also a weird moment
Totally
earlier that we
uncool.
skipped over, but she had him on the ground and she swiped across, and I'm like, she just took his kneecap off. It looked like,
Right.
but he gets up and just sprints away. I'm like that.
Yeah.
The consequences of the actions have to matter.
Right.
Yeah.
Brian, Trey, the fight.
It covers one thing. Like we've talked about before, I'm a big fan of if there's this situation, I think it's important to have some kind of grounding in terms of doing an identity and situation, and it's important to do that. But in this one, they kind of tried to do it, but it really didn't come across as anything other than very standard action movie cliche lines. And like those, just dropping those in almost cookie cutter style, it doesn't help. I would rather it not exist than just be something as generic as was present here. It has to be something specific and relatable in a sense, as opposed to these kind of lines that nobody in real life ever really says.
Trey,
Sorry.
how do you feel about the dialogue?
This time, I say those lines all the time, but my real life might be different than yours. My life's a little strange. Again, just to spin things in a positive direction. I mean, I think there is evidence of there's some nice moments in here,
Yes.
and there's some nice filmmaking, and there's some nice beats, and some nice attempts of staging something in a creative way that may not have been completely successful, but having the idea is clearly there. And I think that the technical side of things can be improved, and then a lot of these. I think because I think I saw what they were going for more than I saw a successful completion of what they were going for. But having an idea and having learning to execute that idea and make it clear to people who are coming to it cold and don't know you and don't know your friends and don't go, oh look, Christine's in a movie or whatever that actress's name is. I mean, that's one level of things. But it's on the cusp of just look at this again. It's one I would recommend. Like take the time and just now look at it. Like look at it as if it was a movie you paid to see, and does it succeed, and what parts can you honestly say, well, that didn't quite come together, and how can you do it better next time? I've got about 50 bad fight scenes under my belt when I was when I was first starting out, and I don't usually show them to people because they're bad. But
Before you met me. No,
yeah,
I'm just
exactly. Then as the saying goes, you have to make all those bad movies to start making the good ones. You have to get those bad ones out of the way. So that's literally how it is. Draw your bad drawings first when you're starting out, and then you can draw good drawings from then on.
There's a similar quote. I think it was Bradbury who said it, or Ellison or someone. They were like, you have 10,000 bad words in you. But before you get to the good ones, so write those as fast as you can.
Write those as fast as you can, so you can start writing the good stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
So again, I don't want it to come across like we're dumping on this movie. It's there's a lot of hard work here, and it's really hard to do something, and I can see that there was a lot of effort put into it, and I absolutely applaud it for that.
Cool.
And I think take the lesson from it and look at it and make your next one better.
Ryan, can you be even nicer?
Well, I'll just say that I think I mean
Remember, your
everything
beard is intimidating, so you have to be nicer to accommodate for it.
Right. They can't tell in that resolution. I think the two key things to work on here are the choreography itself in terms of its cleverness and always thinking about what you're doing, like what we were discussing before about what is the intention of what's happening right now. What happens if the other person say we're just turned off? Would you be killing them or not? I mean, that's you got to be aware of that. And then also. In sort of conjunction with that, the performance and keeping anyone from waiting, don't be doing the hit them in the face and then just sort of hang out and then pursue them, gradually. Think about the intention. Are you trying to kill them or not? That's because if you're not, that's a different kind of fight, and that's okay, and you have to do that properly. But
Dorkman?
Going off really quick because I know we want to move on, but going off what Trey said, one way to get immediate distance from what you're doing is to show your work to someone else.
Yes.
Even if it's someone who won't tell you what's wrong with it, just the act of sitting there while they watch it will make you watch it and go, oh God, this is going on too long. Oh, that didn't make any sense at all. And you'll get into your head about it. And they'll be like, oh, it was really nice. But the whole time you're thinking, that doesn't work and that's too long and I got to cut that down. So that's a really good way to be able to weirdly see through the other person's eyes, even if they're not going to tell you what they're seeing because they're your mom and they're not going to dump on it.
Yeah, just really quick on that. I mean, you will be aware of you. It's amazing how self-aware you become when someone else is in the room watching it with you. Something happens, your mind completely shifts, and you're like, oh boy.